There is a woman you see every week at the market, at the park where you walk, maybe behind the counter at the local cafe, and she has been sending you love signals for months, and you have missed every single one. Not because you're not paying attention, but because you've been looking in the wrong places. You've been waiting for a grand gesture, a flirtatious comment, a sign that looks like something out of a movie. And I'm here to tell you, respectfully, to let all of that go. I reject the world of pickup tricks and manipulation completely. That is not what we do here. What I'm about to share with you is the unspoken language of mature attraction hidden inside the most ordinary, everyday moments. Most men never notice this. They walk through their routines half asleep to the silent signals being offered by women who are waiting for a man with the eyes to see. By the time I finish speaking, you will understand what she's really looking for. You will see the grocery store, the sidewalk, and the coffee line with new vision. And you will carry yourself with the calm, masculine presence of a man who knows he is being invited, even when no words are spoken. Let's sit with the problem for a moment. You are at this stage of life. You've likely loved, lost, and learned more than you ever expected to. And yet, when you find yourself near an attractive woman your age, there is a small, nagging voice that whispers, "Is she just being polite? Am I reading too much into this?" And because you're a gentleman, because you don't want to be the creepy older guy at the grocery store, you do what most men at this stage do. You play it safe. You offer a polite nod and you move on. And then later, in the quiet of your car or your kitchen, you replay the moment and wonder if you just walked past something real. That is the pain, the missed opportunity, the feeling that you might be invisible to women now. Let me be clear, my friend. You are not invisible. You have simply been looking for neon signs in a world that speaks in candlelight. The signals are there. They are just quieter. And they happen in the places you least expect. Those who study human connection and the behavioral patterns of mature adults have observed a fascinating shift that occurs with age. The female nervous system, particularly past 50, is no longer interested in performance. It is interested in resonance. This is biological truth. She has spent decades navigating the loud, the brash, and the disappointing. Her body has become a finely tuned instrument that seeks out emotional safety and calm masculine presence above all else. Her attraction no longer announces itself with a megaphone. It shows up in the way she adjusts her grocery cart or the way she holds a door. Her body language reveals her interest in moments so mundane that the untrained eye dismisses them as nothing. But you are not the untrained eye, not anymore. We are going to walk through 7 of these everyday love signals together. And I'm going to hold one back, the most powerful, the most overlooked signal of them all, until the very end. The first signal happens in the produce aisle. I call it the deliberate drift. You're picking out avocados or tomatoes. She's a few feet away. There is a natural, polite distance between strangers at the grocery store. But watch what happens when she becomes aware of you. A woman who is simply shopping will maintain her lane. She'll stay in her zone. But a woman who is sending a silent signal of interest will drift, not towards you directly. That would be too obvious. She will drift into your peripheral vision. She will move to the bin just to your left. She'll examine the lettuce right next to where you're standing. She's telling you, without words, "I am making myself available to be noticed." Most men never notice this. They're focused on the firmness of the avocado. They don't see that she has subtly placed herself within speaking distance. And because they don't notice, they don't acknowledge her. And after a moment, she drifts away and the window closes. The man who understands simply looks up, catches her eye with a warm, knowing glance, and says something as simple as, "They never seem to be ripe when you need them." That's it. You've just acknowledged the unspoken language. You've shown her you're awake. The second signal is what I call the pause at the perimeter. You're at a coffee shop. You're sitting at a table, reading, or just enjoying the morning. She walks in. She gets her drink. And then, instead of walking directly to her car or to her own table, she pauses. She stands at the condiment station for just a beat too long. She adjusts the lid on her cup. She checks her phone for no reason. What she's doing is creating a window of opportunity for you to enter her space. She's giving you a chance to say, "Good morning," without the pressure of a direct approach. Here's where I need to share a failure flash moment with you. I was in this exact situation 3 months ago. A lovely woman, silver hair, kind eyes, paused at the cream and sugar station. She looked over at me. Not a stare, a glance. And then she looked at the sugar packets like they were the most fascinating thing in the world. And what did I do? I thought, she's just fixing her coffee. I went back to my paper. She waited, maybe 20 seconds. Then she walked out. I realized an hour later what I had missed. I had missed the pause. She had handed me the invitation, and I had left it on the table. Don't be like me, my friend. When you see the pause at the perimeter, you don't need a clever line. You just need to be present. A simple, "That's a great color on you," or "Enjoy this weather while it lasts." Just let her know you see her. The third signal unfolds in the parking lot or on the sidewalk. I call it the synchronized pace. You're both walking. Maybe you're both leaving the gym or the library or the hardware store. She doesn't know you're behind her. But then she glances back, maybe to check for traffic or just a natural glance, and she sees you. Watch what happens next. A woman with no interest will subtly speed up or slow down to create distance. She'll grab her keys faster. She'll look at her phone to avoid further contact. But a woman sending a love signal will do the opposite. She will adjust her pace to match yours. She might fiddle with something in her purse to allow you to close the gap. She might even slow down slightly at the door so that you reach it at the same moment. This is her body language, revealing her comfort with your presence. She's saying, "I don't need to escape you. In fact, I'm curious to see if you'll walk beside me." Most men miss this because they're afraid of being intrusive. They hang back. They respect the distance too much, and in doing so, they miss the silent signal to step forward. The right move here is to shorten the gap gently. Walk with a relaxed stride. If you reach the door together, open it, not with fanfare, just with the quiet, confident grace of a man who understands timing. The fourth signal happens in a group conversation. This is the echo of your words. You're at a dinner party, a community event, or a class. You say something, maybe a small observation, a joke, a thought about the book being discussed. And later, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, she references it. She says, "Well, like he said earlier," or she nods toward you when making a related point. She is echoing you back to the group. This is a profound act of social signaling. She's telling you without words, "I was listening, not just with my ears, but with my attention. You mattered enough to remember." This is not about agreeing with you. She might even playfully challenge what you said. The key is the reference itself. She has carried your words with her. Most men never notice this. They hear the echo and think nothing of it. But those who understand recognize that she has just placed a small flag in the conversation that says, "This man is in my orbit." Acknowledge this with a warm look, a slight nod. Let her know that you noticed she remembered. That is the foundation of a deep connection. The fifth signal is what I call the unnecessary clarification. You're checking out at the store. She's the cashier or she's in line behind you. You exchange a few pleasantries. And then, as the transaction is ending, she says something like, "I'm usually here on Tuesdays," or "I just moved to this neighborhood." She offers you a piece of information that is completely unnecessary for the transaction at hand. She is giving you context. She is giving you a thread to pull if you have the courage to pull it. Most men hear this and think, "Okay, good to know," and they walk out. They don't realize that she just cracked the door open. She just gave you a reason to come back on a Tuesday. She just gave you the opportunity to say, "Well, maybe I'll see you next Tuesday then." That's not a pickup line. That's an acknowledgement of her silent signal. It shows you're paying attention to the unspoken language of her life. The sixth signal is the lingering hand on an object. You're both reaching for something. A door, a shared menu, a basket at the market. Your hands almost touch. She doesn't snatch her hand back. She doesn't flinch. She lets the moment breathe. Her fingers might rest on the item for just a second longer than necessary after you've taken hold of it. She is allowing the nearness. She is testing the sensation of proximity without the pressure of actual touch. Her nervous system is speaking here. If she were threatened or disinterested, her hand would retreat instantly. That's biological truth. The fact that she lingers means she is comfortable with the idea of your energy mixing with hers. Most men never notice this because they're focused on the object, not the hand. But you, my friend, will notice. And when you do, you don't need to comment on it. Just let the moment be. Let her feel your calm, masculine presence in that shared second. She will remember it long after the basket is filled. And now we arrive at the seventh signal, the one I promised to save for the end. The most powerful love signal a mature woman sends in an everyday moment, and the one that most men over 60 miss completely. It is the return without reason. This is what happens. You've had a brief interaction. Maybe you helped her reach something on a high shelf. Maybe you exchanged a few words about the weather at the dog park. The moment ends. You go your separate ways. And then, 5 minutes later, she's back. She walks past you again. She appears at the end of the aisle you just moved to. She forgot something, or she's just circling back. There is no logical reason for her to be in your vicinity again, and yet there she is. This is not coincidence. At this stage of life, a woman does not waste her steps. She does not wander aimlessly through a store or a park. She is intentional. When she returns to your space without a clear purpose, she is telling you without words, I felt something in that moment, and I wasn't ready for it to end. I'm giving you, and myself, a second chance. Most men never notice this. They see her come back and they think, oh, she must have forgotten the lettuce. They rationalize it away. They stay in their own head. And the moment slips through their fingers for the second time. The man who understands the return without reason recognizes it for what it is, a gift. It is her body's way of overruling her polite social brain. She came back because something in her needed to feel your presence one more time. When this happens, my friend, you must act, not with aggression, with recognition, a smile, a simple, we keep running into each other, I'm starting to think you're following me. Said with warmth and a twinkle in your eye, that opens the door. That transforms the everyday moment into a memory. That is what she's really looking for. A man awake enough to see the second chance when it circles back around. You have just been given a new lens through which to view your daily life. The deliberate drift, the pause at the perimeter, the synchronized pace, the echo of your words, the unnecessary clarification, the lingering hand, and the return without reason. These are not tricks. These are not games. These are the quiet, dignified invitations of a woman who has lived enough to know that the loudest things are rarely the truest. If this understanding has shifted something inside you, if you are sitting there right now realizing that you've been walking past open doors for years, then I invite you to hit that subscribe button. Do it so that more men like us can access this understanding, so we can stop missing the life that is waiting for us in the everyday. Next time,